Roger Woodall, how are you?
I'm very good, Simon. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Really appreciate you taking the time out to come back to me and do this.
More than welcome. You're more than welcome.
Well, I responded to a post that you put out on LinkedIn, which is now is a good time to challenge yourself, to open a new business. And it's quite rare to see such passion and enthusiasm within these times for let's accept where we are, because you are where you are, control the controllables, but this is what you can do. Did I digest that post correctly?
Absolutely. Absolutely. These are real tough times, and we're very lucky in this country that the government have given us furlough and everyone put on 80% of salary, etc. But what's about to happen come September is going to shock the nation. Absolutely shock the nation. I've been here before in 2008 when I set up my businesses. So I know what people are going through right now, and there's a lot of emotion. There's also lots of fear. People have got food to put on the table. There's families. There's lots of fear on people's futures, and that's why I believe, to be looking at a side business now. Anyone who's got a job should be looking at a side business. Should be looking at setting something up themselves, because the way forward is to be an entrepreneur. To have your freedom. To do what you want every day, but it starts, business starts from a little acorn or an idea. So now it's about getting those ideas out of your head that you've been thinking about for many years and get cracking. And, what a great time to be doing research. And, research is an art. People forget that. If you're a good researcher and you do your homework, that's an art. That's a huge part of business, but people seem to forget that part.
I'm interested to delve into your past in a second and how you've been in this situation before. I agree with you that I don't think we've hit the worst yet, because we're in it, so we can't see what's going on. We can't see the wood for the trees. I think there's going to be a hangover to COVID where people suddenly have to go back to work and get anxious about the whole thing, panic attacks, or employers worry that they can't. I don't know. I just think, like you've just said, we don't know what's coming, and that in itself will make people anxious, employers and employees.
Well, absolutely. If you're a business owner, geez, there's a lot of sleepless nights right now. We're all talking about the employee. What about the employer? There's not much love given to the employer these days. It's all about the employee and the well-being of the employee and everything that goes with that, which is wonderful. But if you run your own business, the stresses you've got on top of your shoulders are astronomical. Business rents, rates, staff, national insurance. It just goes on and on and on and on, and all business has stopped pretty much. So there's going to be a lot of people getting into debt. It's great that the government are looking after people and giving out loans and grants and what have you, but loans have to be paid back. And if you're a business owner and you think, oh great, I've got a 50 grand loan, wonderful, free interest for a year, wonderful. Year 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, it's still a loan that has to be paid back. Doesn't matter what interest rate it is, whether it's 2.5% or it goes up to 3%, they will want to claw their money back. So it's entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. Running your own business isn't for everyone. But there's 6 million people, there's 6 million businesses out there being run in the UK. With staff less than maybe 3 to 5 staff.
Now look, we're in these times, and I'm speaking to someone, and I know we had a conversation before. I'm speaking to you, and it's like there isn't so much trepidation. It's like you've been here before. It's like you've got your confidence up, you've got a shield. Anyone who can see opportunity from these times, it's very clear that you've done this before. So I'd like to delve into almost. You say you've just done entrepreneurship and business. Where did this start? If we could take you back to, I was going to say Loughborough University, but perhaps even before that, who gave you the confidence? Because as we've mentioned, it's something that could have been instilled into you as a child. Where do you think this all started?
Well, I think I had a very different upbringing to most. I grew up living above pubs in London. So mum and dad were publicans. So at a young age, I was around adults the whole time. So that was exciting, very, very exciting. But I kind of lived a double life. It was like you're going to school in the daytime, you're coming back to pub life. You're coming back to 500 people in your pub where there's alcoholics, there's fights, there's problems, there's great stories, these great characters. There's a whole array of things that taught me huge lessons in life. And I guess the entrepreneurial spirit come around seeing so many characters in the pubs, you know, selling, buying, selling. And I learned business at a very young age. Started probably in the playground selling Panini football stickers.
Oh, those were the days.
They were the days, you know,
Oh.
buying and selling and swapping and buying something for 10p, selling for 20p. And it sort of stemmed from there. And then, you know, on May days outside the pub, we're at a young age of 10, would set up a ice cream stand or an ice cream store or a hot dog store on the May bank holiday weekends. And we're selling them for £2-3 a pop. So as we grow older and older, I was buying and selling and working out the business mind, what people wanted, how could you create a win-win? So it went on to, I've done lots of things to earn money over the years, but from a young age, even we lived next to a nightclub in our pub was called the Bishop's Pub in Kingston upon Thames on the river. And it was the coolest pub to be at for many years back in the late 80s, early 90s. And we had a nightclub next door, literally right next to my bedroom. There was a one wall and it was the nightclub next door. And every Saturday I would go up to the club manager Saturday afternoon and buy 10 tickets. I think they were £1 a pop at the time. And I'd go into our pub at 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, at the age of 10 years old, selling these tickets for £2. But these tickets would get you queue jump, which would save you half an hour queuing. So it was a win-win again, you know. And at the age of 10, earning £20, selling 20 tickets, earning £20 profit on a Saturday night at 10:30, 11 o'clock was unbelievable. I thought I hit the jackpot, you know. So there was always lots of buying and selling and working out what people wanted, and that kind of moved on when you went into school, and again buying and selling, doing haircuts, anything the kids wanted haircuts. You do tram lines in their hairs and in their hair, and £3, and the stories go on. And then, you know, a great story is I used to go to Blackbush Market at the age, I think I moved on to the age of sort of 16 now, 17, and I'd go and buy 50 Timberland jumpers from the market for £10 and bring them to school and sell them for £30. And, you know, they would sell like that. And, you know, all the kids wanted these Timberland jumpers. That was the craze at the time. So again, we kind of then moved into lots of things at school and then moved on to the university. But I was very lucky in my upbringing. Like I said, it was a double life. Mum and Dad were living above a pub, and saw lots of things kids shouldn't see. You know, it's something that's quite important as well. But again, that was learning lessons and not seeing many things.
Do you think you got an upbringing that a lot of people wouldn't get now? And I just go and I look around at my own kids and everyone of that age, maybe, you know, locked away on social media. They're missing out on a lot of life. I mean, I remember going out at 8:30 in the morning. You wouldn't come back until 9 o'clock at night after having tea at a friend's house and everything. But are they missing out, do you think?
Well, everyone's different. You can say they're missing out, but they're probably learning a lot quicker than we did as kids.
That's true.
Because everything's instant access. You know, everything's instant. You probably speak to a 10-year-old now. He's probably got the mindset of a 14-year-old. You know, but I wouldn't change our upbringing for the world. Wouldn't change it for the world because it was real. You know, it was real. You had to go and earn your money.
Yeah, you got taught a lot of lessons, and what we were alluding to before when we had a catch up was they don't teach entrepreneurship in school. They don't. We're almost living in a world with a bit of a dichotomy that everyone sees people in front of Ferraris, YouTubers worth millions in front of mansions, and so you think entrepreneur. I've just got to get a website. I'm going to do that. But there seems to be a big gap in between reality, hard work, the lessons that you need to do. And I see that as creating maybe a generation that become quite anxious because what they want and what they think is normal is so often unachievable with the lessons or the training that they've had to try and achieve it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You know, I find that all very fake as well. I'm setting up a new business as we speak. I've been working 90 days solid. I've probably worked the hardest I've worked in probably 12 years since setting up the festival, Bournemouth 7's, and setting up Viper 10 Sportswear and the last recession. But I know what's coming. And I have literally been working now 90 days from 5 in the morning till going to bed at 2 in the morning, researching, doing my homework on creating a new business. But I've seen all that. I've seen all the fakeness, all the Lamborghinis, and saying you can earn £100,000 a day by laying on a beach with chicks and crowd and whatever.
Yeah.
God, if it was that true,
I'm in.
Exactly. I'll sign up now.
Yeah.
You know, but no, entrepreneurship's not for everyone. But boy, you will not find a better buzz than being an entrepreneur. That endorphin buzz, those hits you have every day, that's your business, that you're growing something for you and getting these wonderful wins. But it can also be a very lonely place. I've never had a job, so I wouldn't know any difference of being employed and unemployed. You know, so I'm just used to it, and I know it can be a lonely place at times, and it can be daunting, especially for people wanting to set up their own business, because you're going into areas which majority of people don't go into, and a lot of emotions will come up. Emotions of fear normally comes up for people who have great ideas, and then the fear of what their parents would think, the fear of what their mates would think, the fear of failure, the fear of success. You know, the fear of success might be, oh, I don't want to be successful because that means if I'm more successful than my dad, he won't have respect for me, or more successful than my mum. There's lots of things going on, you know.
What if people think I'm arrogant? What if people think I'm not doing it for those reasons?
Absolutely. The fear of failure. Oh no, I'll set up this business. I better not, because if I fail, what are going to people think of me? You know, get over this, get over yourself. You know, if you're setting up a business, you've got to, in my opinion, it's something that I work with and I mentor people, is to unblock the past, because your past is holding you back.
Right. I want to delve into your past, because I want to know, and I want everyone to know, that these aren't quick wins. Like someone said, an overnight success is usually taking years. Now, let's start at start. I want to start there and finish with the new business that you're starting within these times. And I'd like to let people see how that you've grown in transition to have the confidence to just take life as it comes now and deal with it and see opportunities. Now, you started off at Loughborough University after a series of businesses. It sounds like tram lines. I remember those, and those Panini sticker books. I could still tell you the Liverpool team from start to finish.
I filled the books at the loft, I think, from like 1983 or 2 or 1984 or whatever.
I've got 1985 from Bruce Grobbelaar. I can tell you all the way through to John Wall, Ian Rush, Dalglish.
They were good times. Graham Souness, was he around then?
Yeah, he was. He was up there. Yeah.
I was a big West Ham fan, all our family.
Right. Okay.
That's the one we homed in on.
So you made sure you got that whole page with the subs and everything.
Absolutely.
That was football. I know that you went into rugby, and from speaking to you, you played with Martin Johnson. Let's face it. I mean, that's got to be quite cool.
Played with a lot of those boys, in fact, at Leicester Tigers back in '97. That was a shock to the system, being a young lad going there, involved with them smashing 2 bells out of you every day.
I don't think he took many prisoners, did he?
Oh, he was a mean machine. He was just a monster of a man, even in training. He didn't care if you were a young kid, whippersnapper. He didn't care if you were. He was going to smash you to bits and get you out of the way.
Where did that take him?
Quick learning curve, I have to say. Quick learning curve for business as well.
Well, I mean, you had the culture of the pub, you had the culture of the rugby team. I bet you weren't given an inch. I mean, you had to either stand up for yourself, or you'd have been knocked over back in the day as a kid, or in the pub, or in the rugby.
Absolutely. Tough lessons. Wouldn't change it for the world. Loved it. But it makes you a character. It turns you into character, you know, and it gives you wonderful skill set. You know, I always remember, in fact, it's an interesting question you're saying there, because I grew up in pubs, and you know, as I was saying before, I lived a sort of a double life, really, because mum and dad were very lucky enough. It was that they had a pub, and that they had the good start of sending me to private school, which was a shock to my system, being a London boy going to a private school. But that taught me wonderful lessons as well. But I would go to school, and you live this private school life, playing sport with all the other kids turning up, and mummy and daddy is an accountant, or mummy daddy is this, or there's actually great characters there as well. But I guess it was interesting, because when I used to go to their houses, and they lived in lovely big houses, and it was calm and silent, and then mum and dad would be cooking food together. That was wonderful for me to go and see. And just because I knew the pub life, I loved the pub life as well, because you were around. I guess I grew up with doormen, and I grew up with characters and all sorts of people, nightclub next door, buying and selling, working the crowds and what have you. But when friends used to come and stay at the pub, they thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. Playing on machines, loud music, nightclubs, you know, it's just the norm for me. And when I went to their house, it was like, oh, I would love the comfort and the silence of that upbringing, because my upbringing was very, very, very loud, I guess. You know, with lots of music and partying, which was wonderful. And I guess that's probably why the industry I've got into down the line, sort of 30 odd years later.
Well, it would make sense, wouldn't it? Did you always know that you were going to mix sports with business at some point?
Well, that's something that my passions, and I was quite good at, was sport. And it's only now that this kind of age now, I'm kind of looking back into my past, because I'm writing a book at the moment, and it's just made me stop and look back at the past. And I guess that my business skills started at a very young age, and my two passions are sport and business. So I guess so, yes.
Yeah, and it's quite funny because have you got a title first of all for that book, or is it a working title?
I have got a title for that book, but it's something I'm going to. Oh, yeah, I will tell you. No, I won't tell you.
No, don't.
Don't. I don't know where this podcast is going to go.
Yeah, no, but I look forward to reading it, because I think it'll be told a story of education almost, and people will be able to pick up, because the thing about being an entrepreneur is you think you're the first person to feel like this way. I mean, Wellity was born out of the fact that I hit a bit of a dark patch when I've done a couple of startups now, but the second one was that everything seemed so rosy on the front end, but I knew different on the back end, and it was just work and being consumed by something. We'll come on to the Bournemouth 7's in a minute, which is this massive masterpiece that you've created. And at some point, you must have felt like a fear that this was running off with you, that, oh my God, what have I created? Can I cope with it? Imposter syndrome. What the hell do I do? I've never done this before.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone gets imposter syndrome. Everyone gets imposter syndrome, whether they want to believe it or not. They do get it. I get it.
Well, what happened before that? I mean, you had a sports brand? Was that your first time when you thought, oh my God, I'm going public with a business now? This is.
No.
No. What happened before?
No. Well, I started putting on events at the age of 16, 17, selling tickets for balls and at school, and putting on events, smaller events, and then went to Loughborough Sports University and did a PE sports science degree, and started in my final years put on a weekly sports night at Loughborough on a Wednesday. And so I had a nightclub on a Wednesday in Loughborough and on a Tuesday in London in my final year at university. And that's the bit that made me go, right, at the age of 23, stop playing rugby and homed in on this business, which was something no one was doing in the UK. You know, nightclubs were closed on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. They might open their doors, whatever, with a 1,500 capacity. And I was going into nightclubs all around the UK. I had 12 nightclubs every week at peak. And I would take the door money and they would take the bar money. But I would get 1,000 to 2,000 students in there every single Wednesday sports night. So in my final year, in my final year, I approached the local nightclub, and I was one of the main faces on sports campus at the time. And they were charging £2 to get in. I approached the local nightclub and said, how about we charge £3? I keep £1. You still keep your £2, and we'll increase the numbers. So they agreed to that, which was probably one of the best deals I've ever done. To start off my career, looking back over the last God knows how many years, of putting on 1,500 events and now 12 festivals. Should have been 13, but we had to cancel this last one due to COVID, which is a shame.
13 as well.
Yeah, we said that at the start of the year. Unlucky for some. Excuse me.
So are you partly responsible for me running around midweek dressed in a toga then? When I was at Brighton Uni?
Yeah, absolutely. We had student nights from Manchester to Brighton to Bournemouth to Oxford to Cambridge to all over the country, Leicester, Loughborough. And that was from 1999 to 2008, where we created 3 brands in the end, 3 student night brands over those years, and it totaled up to 1,500 events we put on.
Well, that's brilliant. I mean, you talk about the best business is a win-win. And I used to love going out midweek, because it was another chance to drink more beer, but mainly because all the townies they'd wait for the weekend.
Absolutely.
So we had the place to ourselves.
Yeah.
And there was limited trouble, and that was a win-win.
Absolutely. Well, that's where I saw the opportunity. These nightclubs were closed. So we'd go to a nightclub owner and say, or that nightclub was closed, and a nightclub which was half a mile away was packed. We'll get everyone in your nightclub because we put entertainment on. And for us, we created a brand, but no one knew what real brands were back then because it was just at the .com boom. When we created a website, we created a brand, and we built and scaled this brand because students, we're laying on a plate, basically, a perfect night for a student. We'd have a 4-week lineup. 1 week would be fancy dress. Next week would be a Big Brother star with reality TV came on. Next week would be an England rugby star coming on stage. Next week would be something else and something else and something else. And it just kind of grew from there. And, we hit the ground running, to have 2 student nights in my final year at Loughborough Uni while juggling a PE sports science degree and trying to juggle playing rugby at the same time or what have you. And as soon as I finished uni, it's like, right, I need to make this big move now and get in there before anyone else does. Because there was no social media back then. It was literally the power of word of mouth, the power of networking, the power of flyers and posters. So it was, as an events promoter, an events organizer now, the kids have got it easy these days. You can press buttons and talk to 10,000 people these days. Back then, I had to hand out an individual flyer to each person's hand to let them know about our night. And before you know it, you go into that city and make sure it's all fly posted and flyer 20,000 flyers out to hand with a team of people to make sure they know about your nightclub and your night going on a weekly Wednesday.
People say, oh, yeah, but I can't do that. They literally go, oh, I can't do that. I mean, let's break that down. You suddenly became at a young age a manager. You had to do your forecasting, finance. You had to get up and deliver the leaflets as well. No one else was doing this. So you had no one to copy. So you must have had confidence? Did you have any self-critic, or did you just go, bugger this, I'm running with it. I'm running with this because it's working.
I'm running with this. I am running. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, but I know no one will beat me in hard work. I'm relentless. And I knew there was an opportunity here. And I knew I didn't want to get a job when I left university. I just knew it. I didn't want to go and get a job. I feel I'd be unemployable if I'm honest with you. I just knew I wasn't going to get a job. I knew there was another way. I knew there was another way to earn money. And it was literally back then, it was about earning money at the age of 22, 23. But you got to remember back then, there was no social media, and there was no one putting cards, no one put card into on the internet and pay, I'll buy 10 tickets. It wouldn't happen. Yeah. You're waiting, the hard work you put in, you're waiting on the door of that nightclub at 10 p.m. to see how many people are going to turn up. And all of a sudden you've got a queue of 1,000 people.
What's that feeling like?
Oh my God. I haven't had that feeling. I have just had that regular feeling. That feeling is the best feeling in the world, because you put the hard work in, you get instant results. You get results, and when they turn up, the gratification, how everyone was so happy that you're putting on this event for them, and you're so happy that they're coming to your event. It was a win-win.
There's a period in an entrepreneur's life where you work so hard, and there's nothing that comes back because you're effectively setting something up. Yeah. And there's a frustration that, why isn't this working? And everyone around you going, because you haven't launched yet, because you haven't started. But no one can read what's in my head. Like, it's all here, all your passion, and people say, just write it down. Yeah. What is that keeps you going? And especially when you were setting that up, when you're doing all the work, but you're not getting anything back. So I can feel that elation that you saw when there were 1,000 people outside. Yeah.
For me, I like the unknown.
But you're comfortable in the unknown.
I'm comfortable with the unknown, really comfortable, because I know that I know that I'm creating a brand or creating something, whether it's the festival or whether it's the sportswear brand or whether it's the new business, It's all the unknown, because I never had anyone to follow. When I launched in 2008, in the middle of the start of the last recession, that was all the unknown. But what I did know was there's going to be opportunity, and the opportunity was huge, because what I saw and what I'm seeing now, because I've been in one recession before, I'm seeing now that what's coming up, there is huge opportunity coming up. But it's about changing your mindset to see opportunity rather than crisis.
It's funny, I'd never compare myself as an entrepreneur to you, because I've seen the businesses that you've done, and I'd love to go to Bournemouth 7's. One similarity that we do have is that in 2008, I started an estate agency, and everyone thought I was bonkers. But in my thinking, if no one's selling anything, yep, we're all level. so that if everyone had a head start before, we're all as bad as each other.
Absolutely. And that in 2008, I was looking at, I was thinking big. I always think big anyway, but I was looking at your V Festival. I was looking at Glastonbury, Reading, Leeds. And back then there wasn't many festivals 15 years ago. There's probably like 10 festivals back then. Now there's hundreds and hundreds of festivals. But the way I saw it, because I didn't have anyone to follow, because they were just music festivals. I was creating a sport and music festival, which everyone thought I was mad. Everyone thought I was absolutely mad, but I didn't think I was mad. I thought, well, no one's doing it, so why can't I be the pioneer of this? And what I noticed in the last recession was I was little old me down here, one-man band, me and my wife, working at the garage here, and then all these big sporting companies, the big festival companies, all of a sudden crash. They went, and we kind of found a kind of level playing field all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it was a really nice feeling.
That's the shot in the arm, isn't it, that you need sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the key to recession. And now recession's happening now. I can't stress enough for people to get up and do what they've been wanting to do for many years. This is the time to start something. This is the time to not worry about what other people think. This is the time to not have that imposter feeling. Who cares? Who cares?
That's the thing.
Who gives a shit?
The freedom.
Language on here.
No, so don't worry. We go with authenticity.
Yeah, okay. Who gives a shit what people think? Who cares? Just get up and do it. Because if you don't, time's ticking very quickly, and the last thing you want in life is regret. When you're 70 and 80, looking back and going, I was stuck in a piss boring job for 30 years, working for someone, and I didn't enjoy it, and I had the fear on a Sunday night going into work that I've got to go into work on the Monday morning. Change your mindset.
All right, then. So what do you need? Because I can't do this. My friends won't. Someone else has failed in my family, and all this sort of stuff. When you did the first business, you said it was just hard work. You didn't know what you were doing. So what are the ingredients if you think that you haven't got anything?
Belief. Believe in yourself. And as children, many parents might give you the wrong beliefs. The belief that you can't do it. The belief that you're not good enough. The belief that someone else is doing it before you. Get them out of your head.
How?
Out of your head. Mindset. Work with someone. Work with a mentor who can clear your past. I'm a mentor to quite a few people on budding entrepreneurs. It's the industry that I love. And it's about clearing that from the past so that unblocks that thought process that you can move forward. And it's a very, it's something that's not really ever been spoken about. It has been spoken about tiny bits, but it's not something that's in the mainstream. The mainstream is go to school, finish school, go to uni, get a job, work for someone for 30 years, retire, get a pension, die. I know that sounds like really harsh reality, but if you're in a job you do not enjoy, it is the reality. But the catch is that a job you may not enjoy pays the bills. And that's the risk. But that's why I always say to people, it'd be wonderful if you can set up, if you've got an idea, set up as a side business. Instead of coming home and flicking through Instagram and flicking through all the crap that wastes time, set up your side business, put the hours in.
What is it? All progress happens outside of the comfort zone. I don't think there's anything more true than that, is there?
Absolutely. Put the hours in. But you've got to have an idea. You can't just, you've got to have an idea. And most good ideas come from things that you see in a business that you feel you could do better. And a lot of that
passion and purpose helps, doesn't it?
Passion and purpose is absolute key. if you can get those things right, you're away for a happy next 20, 30 years.
And what happened after what happened to the uni business then? And how did you progress then in terms of your business
Well,
life?
I saw, I'm quite good at seeing stuff happening. And I saw in 99 in my final year, then I set up the business in 2000 to 2008. But I saw in about 2006, I saw that the late licenses were coming through. The 24-hour late license in pubs and bars. And back then, the business model for us was everyone would go to the pubs, and then the pubs would get kicked out, and then they would move straight to the nightclubs. It was making sure you got them to come to the nightclubs rather than go to the other nightclub. And then all of a sudden, this business model started to change. I started to think, hold on a minute. I'm not too sure what this nightclub industry is going to have the legs that it's had over the past 10 years. Because what was happening, these bars were creating small little dance floors in there to hold the people in there that they would drink longer. And then these bars would open till 2 o'clock instead of closing at 11 o'clock. And then that started to happen. And then all of a sudden, the smoking ban came in. So people were thinking, wow, this is a real pain in the backside now. When I'm in the nightclub, I've got to go outside to have a cigarette. So all these things were having a knock-on effect. And I started to identify and start to see. So I was thinking, I've got to think of the next thing. And I've had a good run. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it, creating wonderful experiences and events for everyone. I've sold over 1 million tickets. And the time's right now to move on to the next stage in my career. And that was to create a festival and move into the festival world.
Which we all know is the Bournemouth 7's, right?
Bournemouth 7's Festival, yeah, which was set up in 2008. But that was something I did not have a clue about.
Hang on, where do you start? Where do you start? I'm trying to put in the mindset of someone. You got a field. You like rugby. Rugby brings. How do you mix the genders as well? Because obviously everyone loves sport. What are the ingredients that you thought? Well, men and women, music, sport, add sunshine and alcohol. My God, that's a party.
That was a party. And what I did know going into this, jumping in 2 feet and going, I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'm going to be doing this. I've got this wonderful idea, which I think's got legs. But it's very different to going to a nightclub and saying to the nightclub owner, I'd like to rent your club for the night for every week, because he would open the club. They would put on the doorman. I would just make sure that I would pack the club out. I'd take the door money. They would take the bar money. I would drive off at 2 o'clock, make sure everyone had a wonderful night, a great experience with, like I was saying, fancy dress and celebrities and what have you put into those nights. It's very different to then driving home. It's very different from that and managing teams of people in different cities to then saying, right, I'm going to put 30,000 people into a field for 3 days because I didn't have a clue about lighting, sound, police, councils, fencing, marquees. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. And that was a wake-up call. But I learned very quickly.
But if you'd have thought about all that at the start, there are so many reasons for you not to do that. There were far more reasons for you not to do it than to do it.
There was 99 reasons not to do it.
And so what was the passion, purpose? The thing about an entrepreneur is it's usually locked away in your head and it's very hard to get it out. So you just think, right, I'm just going to do it.
Opportunity. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
What came first? Renting a field, doing the adverts, booking the...
What came first? The idea was just sitting on Bournemouth Beach one day and with a mate of mine, Finchy, and we were talking about what a great idea this could be. There was nothing in the UK. You had loads of music festivals, 10, 15 music festivals back then. You had Dubai 7's and Hong Kong 7's and these different 7's all around the world. And they were probably the 2 best ones around the world. And I was thinking, why don't we mix sport and music and create a sport and music festival? So the idea come about there. And I know what I'm like when I get an idea. It was literally head down and research. And it was just, I was relentless. I was absolutely relentless. And it came about with thinking, let's launch it in year 1. Maybe we might get 24 7's teams. I was thinking, right, if we can create that atmosphere that you get when you're at university, like on a Wednesday night, that camaraderie, that feel, that buzz you used to get When you leave uni, that's gone. And everyone tries to hold on to the past. Oh God, the uni days were great. I've got no responsibility. Essentially what we created was a party in a field for sports people and party people to come to us and just forget everything for 3 days and have the best 3 days of your life with old schoolmates and old uni mates or old rugby mates or old netball mates, or your end of season tour that you're currently playing with a team. Create this as your end of season tour, because we're always the last bank holiday in May. So I was thinking, God, if we pick the right date and the right venue and we got the right product, this could work. But that was the key to it, is picking the right date, making sure that you've got the right product that people are going to love, and you've got to get the right venue. And if you can get those three things right, you're onto something.
What month were you on the beach? What month was it when you were thinking of, with Finchley on the beach?
Oh God, that was 2007. I'd like to say what month it was. I think it might have been like September, maybe.
So if you started, did you have your first one in 2008?
2008, May 2008.
Whoa, hang on. So that's 7 months from
Roughly.
From probably having a beer with your mate to starting a business.
Yes, roughly. And I thought it was going to cost, I thought genuine, because again, I was going into it not having a clue how much things cost. How much is marquees? How much is staging, fencing, licensing, councils on board? And it just all grew into this massive thing that it was just myself and my wife. It was like, shit, I've got no staff, I've got enough money. We got to pay rent for the venue. They want it up front. So we thought it was going to cost about 100 grand to put on. 6 months prior to the festival, I think it was the January time, roughly the January time, we run out of money because everyone wanted paying up front because we were the unknown. We had no history behind us of putting on festivals. And it was sleepless nights. And obviously the recession hit 2008. There's no banks to go to and say, can I borrow some money? We've got this wonderful idea. They were like, see ya. There's no the sponsorship was really, really low because all the companies were going kaput everywhere. And God, it was awful. It was dreadful. It was hard times. And when you're in for £100,000, you either go, shit, do we leave £100,000 and run? Or do we be relentless and go for this? So the only option we had, Fleur and I, my wife, was to remortgage the house.
Wow.
Which was, looking back now, and anyone watching this, I wouldn't recommend that. Please don't do that. Because if no one turned up on the day, you lose your home. It was literally that. The festival in year one cost us 300 grand in the end.
And so 3 times more. What was the mental resilience? At Wellity, we normalised the conversation around mental health. Now, you had Fleur, but there must have been times where it almost felt like you could have imploded because you felt like you brought this on your own and you were responsible. What is mental resilience at that time? Because something must have kept ticking. You must have been drawing on something.
Again, I was quite tough mentally and nothing was going to get in my way. I had to make this work. When your house is on the line, you have to make this work. It wasn't, I was up at Twickenham with a team of girls, 6 girls piled in the car from here, all dressed as super women, tight tops with the capes, with 6 groups of lads all dressed as supermen, going up to Twickenham with 50,000 flyers, giving them to hand to tell them about this Bournemouth 7's going on. And, we were relentless, going into fly posting everywhere, being chased out of Twickenham by security in the car park. Yeah, we're doing all the cars, flying all the cars.
Dressed as Superman.
Yeah, just Superman. So imagine like 12, 14 Supermen and Superwomen running around outside the stadium. It was great fun. I wouldn't change it for the world, but I always put on a brave face. When I look back, that's a very good question, but I did always put on a brave face that we're doing this, we're going for this, we're going to get everyone on board. And for us, it was about getting teams on board. And what gave me confidence was we had no offices. We had a little room in the garage that we converted. We just put a little toilet in there, and it was perseverance and relentless. But I didn't ever show any fear, and I was doing it. My wife was in this as well. She gave up her job at JP Morgan. I have to say, I forgot to mention that bit to go for this journey. And she was on a wonderful salary at JP Morgan, and I needed help. And she left her job to give us help on this, but she didn't realize we were going to be remortgaging our house at that point. She didn't realize, you know, we were partners, and she knew I was an event organizer and a promoter. It's a very different world to her world.
What you'd done is created a vacuum almost. You'd created a situation where it was a vacuum which then sucked everything else in. It had to, because there was no other way out. What was it like behind the scenes with you in a quiet moment? Was there ever a head in hand moment where you just thought, I've taken on too much, what have I done?
No, not one time. Not one time ever head in hand moment. I was at it. I had an end date. I had money on the line. I had my house on the line. I had my wife crying in bed with fear 4 or 5 nights a week. And what are we doing? What have we done? What have we done? I was
feeling this.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll be fine, Fleur. We'll be fine. Just trust me. I was thinking, shut. So I was putting on, you know, this could have ended up, this could have been, this whole, I might not have been here to tell the story, put it that way. You know, it could have gone massively tits up. And going back, these are really good questions, in fact, because I've kind of, this is touching some really good points. But looking back, you know, I gave a talk the other day, and someone asked a question and said, knowing what you know now from 12 years ago, if you knew what you're going to put yourself through with risking your house, would you recommend anyone to do it? I was like, no, do not do it. Do not do it, because these were, you know, people talk on YouTube and you hear all these Americans bigging up, oh, it's all about how much effort you put in, you've got to put the hours in. I can't tell you how many hours a day I was putting in. There must have been 18 hours a day, every day. Bags under the eyes. It was literally laying awake, thinking of a million things. And as this beast grew, and because I created in my mind what it was going to look like, and it was big. And when you were creating something big like that, and I was promoting that we were going to have these celebrities here, I was promoting that Sky TV were going to be there, I was promoting that it's going to be X amount of thousand people, I was promoting that all the entertainment's going to be there. All of a sudden, I've told everyone that, now I've got to make it happen. You know, and there wasn't anyone to fall back on who was a mentor to me to say, can someone help? I was doing it all off the hoof. And yeah.
So by committing yourself, you gave yourself no ulterior, no plan B.
100%. And that's what I always do. I put myself into the end result. What's the end result look like? How does it, I visualize it? What does it look like? What does it feel? What's that feeling of people turning up? What's the feeling of people leaving with a great experience? How are you visualizing the stages where the entertainment and the 40 bands and the DJs are? How you're visualizing the day is going to look? How much color there's going to be? How you're visualizing that all these teams that are going to come to your event from day one, they know it's the first ever event. Are they going to be happy? Are they going to be moaning about stuff? Are they going to, you know, there's all these things that go through your head, but I was visualizing all of this, the end result. So I had to make it happen.
Now here's a question. When not this year, obviously, but last year, when you were walking around the place, well, the first one is, did you ever have a quiet moment to yourself? They say on your wedding day, you should just take 2 minutes to stand back and look at everyone because you've got everyone there. Did you ever take a time to look at it all of what you've achieved? Do you ever pat yourself on the back and think, good on you? Are you doing it for yourself, or is there someone in your history that you want to please? Are you, you know, a parent or a critic at school maybe, or someone?
Good question. Really good question. I never sat there and patted myself on the back. It's probably taken, if I'm honest with you, it's probably taken 12 years to look back at it right now, because I've never really spoken about this stuff before. I've been asked to do lots of talks and lots of podcasts, and I've always said no. And I don't know why. But I'm now opening myself up to do stuff like this with yourself and talks on stage and what have you, which is quite interesting. But it's taken me probably 12 years to look back and go, wow, look at that beast that you've created. Wow, you know, my wife and I created that. You know, now with the help, we've got a team of staff. You know, it's turned into a beast from no staff. We've now got 7 full-time staff running the festival, which actually and 800 staff on the day, each day. And yeah, it's about now really that for some reason I've sat back and looked at the achievements we've done, and I guess that's been part of the process of writing the book, because I've had to take a look back. But in 2008, 2009, 10, 11, 12, I was trying to break the back of the festival. And in 2012, we broke the back of the festival. That was the year, because the numbers were increasing each year, the amount of teams. You know, year one, I was expecting or hoping for 24 teams. We got 96 teams in year one, rugby teams. And I was thinking, right, how do we get more women to the festival? Netball. Why don't we do netball? It was literally ideas just like that, off the cuff. So we got 20 odd teams in netball in year one. And that's grown now to 400 teams. Wow. Flying in from different parts of the world, from the rugby playing countries or netball playing countries like South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, France, and all the teams from around the UK coming down and driving down for the weekend. So very lucky to have a wonderful team around me as well. With the seven, you know, my directors, and it's allowed me to take a step back for the day to day, you know, and yeah, I feel very lucky.
I know that my little brother has played there a few times with his West Bridgeford team. Must give him a share. But when you're walking around, was what you saw last year what you envisaged 12 years before?
No. I couldn't envisage 12 years ahead. But what we've done is to create something that each year we haven't sat on our hands. We've improved it, we've tweaked it, we've taken it to the next level. And that's what we've done. And people have bought into that, because the amount of repeat business we have is unbelievable. And there's a reason for that, because they have such a wonderful experience at the festival. They want to come back next year and come back next year and come back next year. The only time that they get stopped is when they hit around the age 30 of playing, because now they've got a wife who doesn't want them to go to the festival, or they've got kids. You know, and that's the beauty of end of season tours, because there's no excuse then. The boys are saying, right, do an end of season tour, whether you're 22 or 60, you're going on an end of season tour with the boys, or we're going on an end of season tour with the netball girls. You know, so it's it's a real fun festival.
What about the maybe the people who have done that, then they had kids and everything else, and then, you know, perhaps they're mid-40s.
That's what's happening.
Oh, what? Tell me more about that. What? Where do I go?
We've created a tournament called the Fat Boy 10's.
Yeah, I'm in it.
That's literally for anyone over 35 up to 70. So we've got this new breed now coming back, yourselves or whatever it may be, the new breed are coming back, or they're all of a sudden going, this is our opportunity to get this festival that everyone's been talking about. So,
too right.
Yeah. But they do all the over 35s. We do wonderful glamping, and we've got VVIP tents and VIP tents, and that's where all the over 35s really go. Yeah,
I feel as if I might have to review that next year. I think, absolutely. Obviously, just for work reasons, though.
Just for work.
Yeah, dressed in a toga again, just for time's sake. Look, you were charging all the hours, all right? 5 o'clock. I thought I worked hard, but 5 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the morning at times when you had to, and even now with your new business, with all your research. Let's talk burnout for a second, because I mean, to be fair, you look fit as a fiddle. So you must have at some point experienced some form of burnout, and then you put some exercise in there as well. How do you manage all this?
Good question. Exercise for me. My rituals: get up and train every day. Gym, whatever it may be. Skipping, gym, have that feeling, have that rush, have that dopamine hit to set me up for the day. But it's a really good question, in fact, because looking back, I always put on a brave face in 2008, 9, 10, when you're building a business. And there's a lot of, I always called it pressure. I never used the word stress, because I always thought the word stress links to heart disease, links to heart attacks or what have you. And I always used the word pressure. And you'd see it on your face, you know, from anyone who's setting up or starting up a business. People can tell by the look on your face, the amount of stuff going on around in your head, and that will have a knock-on effect. But yeah, I always use the word pressure. And there was days the pressure built. And when you lead, that's different to my business, I guess, to any other business, maybe, because it's an event, you're leading up to a date. You're building up to a date, so the pressure builds. There's more contractors coming on board. There's more things that can go wrong. There's more people to please, the police, the car parking, the licensing officer, the noise, the sound, the neighbours. There's more and more. So I always call it pressure. I still call it pressure, and I actually love pressure. So my mindset is to love pressure. So again, it's a mindset thing. If you feel that pressure is not for you, maybe change your mindset.
And exercise.
And exercise, because exercise, when I exercise, I always get my best ideas, and it gives me clarity, so much clarity. You know, that time when you turn off your phone, you go and exercise, you come back and have a shower, you're fresh, you're ready, your mind is ready, your mind is clear to get rid of any negativity or get rid of anything that's just blocking you moving forward.
You do that first thing in the morning, do you? That would be the advice. I'm not so much a morning person, so I sometimes leave it in the day, but I'm envious. I'm really envious about those people who seem to have a head start in the morning, you know, up at it, back at the, you know, back doing whatever at 6, half 6, after exercising. They've ticked it for the day. They don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. People who train, nothing against people who train after work or 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock, but there's also an opportunity to create an excuse.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. Look, when you're starting a business and you've got nothing to lose, I won't say nothing to lose, you'd put 100 grand into this and all your aspirations.
300
for the first one. Yeah. And when you've done that, where are you more scared at that point, or now you've created this thing? Have you got other pressures that have come on now that you've in a way, you've got everything to lose? And I mean, but it's not going to, because it's got its momentum, but then sideswipe COVID, right? You can't plan for that.
Absolutely. COVID. Wow. I don't even like the word. I don't even like the words related to all the new terminology with this nuisance that's arrived. I've taken loads of positives out of it. Loads. It's allowed me to get back to my roots. It's allowed me to get back to my entrepreneurial spirit. It's allowed me to get back and create a new business. It's allowed me to spend more time with my family. It's allowed me to speak to my friends on the phone instead of WhatsApping. It's allowed me to do lots of stuff, but it's a kick in the plums at the same time. Because when you've got a festival and you've got 30,000 people bought tickets to your festival, you've got 400 teams, everyone committed, bought flights and are traveling down here. You've got 7 full-time staff to feed. And we only get paid, my wife and myself, we don't take a salary, we only get paid after the festival. So you've got a whole 12 months building up to the festival. COVID's came. It's allowed us to be very nimble, because we moved the date from the late bank holiday May to move it to the August bank holiday, which was a real quick move from us. And working with the police and licensing and the venue, everyone agreed, because we got some great support nationally and locally to be able to do that. So that brought lots of emotion as well, because they were then waiting on Boris's words every night. Okay, we've moved the date. Then out of all those people, who's happy to keep their ticket for August? 90% of people said, yes, let's move to August. Happy days. That was another emotion I was going through every day. How many people would want a refund? And then you're waiting on Boris and his team's words every day. And then your emotions would be doing this for the last 2 months. Yes, it's going to happen in August. No, it's not going to happen. Yes, it is going to happen. It was tough. It was tough because it was something I've never experienced before. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ride. I enjoyed the buzz. And then last month we were told, essentially, we weren't told, but essentially the government said events and hospitality is not going to happen until that date and the 2-meter distancing. And we had to make the move of, you know, on that weekend, our weekend, you had Carfest, that's Chris Evans' festival. We had Reading Festival and Leeds Festival, both at 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people. Lots of other festivals, and everyone was just pulling the plug. So we had to make that decision to pull the plug, and that has its knock-on effects, you know, financially. But we're lucky in a position that I was always taught as a young kid, save for a rainy day. Always taught that from a young kid, and that's what we've done. And it's allowed us to be able to be in a position to say, okay, let's take this on the chin. Let's move forward to next year, and let's make next year, May 2021, bigger and better.
And what's the current state of it now? What's the date? Where are you in its planning?
Yeah, the planning is we're late bank holiday May 2021. We have had a total, which we're blown away by, because you're waiting another year now. It's not waiting 2 months to move your ticket across on the renewal date. You're relying now on the customers. What is their mindset? Are they want to keep in their ticket to May next year, because it's a long time, or are they wanting refunds? So the last 2 weeks, every day people are emailing, can I have a refund, can I have a refund, can I have a refund? And it was actually yesterday, or a couple of days ago, where all the refunds stopped. We added it all up, and a total of 80% of people want to keep their ticket for next year.
Oh, I salute them.
80%. Blown away. The love is, I'm literally blown away. And that's the beauty of creating a brand that people can relate to, and creating something they love. And essentially opening myself up as well on LinkedIn. You know, I've got a big following on LinkedIn, and I reply to everyone and talk to everyone on LinkedIn and help people. And it's kind of, that's helped in the love of the festival, I guess. I
reckon, judging by your passion and the loyalty that everyone has, and that didn't happen overnight, by the way, that's happened over 12 years, that 21 will be the biggest, the best, touch wood, you know, a real sense of let's do this and let's do this hard next May.
Yeah, we're all guns out next May, because we know, I've just got shivers then.
It's having it, innit? It's having it.
I literally got hairs in the back of my neck going, we're pumped for 21, because we're pumped because it's every year we're taking it to the next level. Every year, it's going back to one of your questions, was how do you feel about walking around the festival, and do you ever look back and say, oh, we've made it? No, because every year I'm there. What I'm doing every year is going around with my phone, chatting to everyone, actually going around my phone, how I can improve it for next year. My staff think I'm mad. My wife and family think you're mad. Just enjoy the moment. But I'm going around how I can improve it for next year, because I want to take it to the next level again. So this has given me even more of a boost to take it to a world beater for 21.
Yeah, you've almost had time to park the car and get a new engine, haven't you?
Yeah, agree. Agree. And also take a look at yourself and look of bringing myself more back into the business in different areas where normally you think, oh, you know, your team have got all that sorted, because, you know, I'm an ideas man, I'm creative, and I'm at my best when I'm creative.
One of my questions was was psychological, financial and emotional recovery. It seems to me like you just go, yeah, we could think about that, but don't bother. Let's just crack on.
Sorry, I missed that. Got cut out. Sorry.
It feels like one of the questions was psychological, emotional and financial recovery. And it seems to me like a lot of people could spend the time thinking about, what do I do? But you've just gone, that's wasted time. Let's just crack on. Like, you deal with what's happening now.
Absolutely. Because I live in the present. A lot of people live in the past. A lot of people are living in the future. But actually, by doing that, you're missing out on the wonderful things we've got around us.
I agree. And it's a good lesson. So you've relied on resilience. You've relied on planning. You've got a positive attitude. Now, that's the Bournemouth 7's. I'm there, by the way, in May.
Yeah.
Wellity, whatever.
Come as my guest. You're more than welcome.
This is on record, so I've got that sound right. No, all right. So that's that. Everyone would be wondering how you've recovered. A lot of people within the events industry, it's affected. You must talk to other people who are organising events. Are you all quite resilient characters?
I think people in the festival world and the events world, everyone's resilient, it seems. I don't know. I can't say everyone. There's 700,000 people involved in the events world and in the UK and what have you. So it's a big industry. It's an industry that makes people happy. You know, people forget that bars, restaurants, festivals and events make people happy. You know, and we're suffering the most because of the social distancing. We'll be the last sector to come alive. I think everyone I've come across in the events world, everyone's got that tough cookie about them. You know, again, it might be front, you never know. But everyone I've worked with, and especially my team, everyone's got that sort of that get up and go, watch this space. Okay, shit happens. let's crack on. Okay, we're good at, we're problem solvers.
Do you know what it sounds like to the untrained ear? It sounds like rather than you've got a period of anxiety and getting over it and feeling sorry for yourself, all it sounds like is you've actually got another few months to rev up for next year. It sounds like you're going, well, that can't happen. But what the positive is we've just now got a bigger planning period for next year. Yep. So I can't help getting quite excited about everyone, and a big hand up to all those 80% who are going to go for it. And let's hope that they take that passion and the numbers actually grow even more.
The love they've shown us is going to be repaid in what the festival we're going to put on for the next year. Mark my words.
Well, and look, we've got umpteen businesses going all the way, starting from a resilient childhood, seeing those characters through to the build-up. You've got the Bournemouth 7's, which I think probably is your biggest feather in your cap. That's what most people would know you about. You've done the sports brand before, which I believe you sold.
Yeah, we sold Viper 10 Sportswear in 2018. We set that business up in 2010. Again, that's a whole new story if you want to go into that, but maybe this is not long enough to...
Well, give us a soundbite, because that's actually starting a sports brand was one thing that sent me spiraling. You know, it is incredibly hard to start a brand.
It can be, yeah, it can be. So yeah, 2010 set up a sportswear brand called Viper 10 Sportswear. Again, saw an opportunity in the market because of the recession, the global recession we're in, financial crisis. That's where I saw the opportunity. But to make this digital, make it all online. So all our competitors were making all their kits in China, and it was a 12-week turnaround. We looked at the marketplace and said, well, how can we make kits in 3 weeks? So we found a factory in Lithuania, and they could make it, landed on your door in 3 weeks. So for example, if you're a university and you wanted 500 branded tracksuits for your university colours, first team, second team, third team, fourth team, rugby kit, netball kits, hoodies. Our competitors were doing that in China and landed on your door in 12 weeks. We could do it in 3 weeks. So we saw that and identified it, and we created it all online, digital, and we had no staff on the road like our competitors. And we made it because of our databases of the festival, that this led into the festival, that all our teams would come to us and buy their kits through us. Hoodies, tracksuits, kits, team kits, and that sort of led on to doing schools and universities en masse. And we created a 3D online kit designer, which was the game changer. And it was like Nike ID, where you could design your own trainers online.
Yeah.
We did it for kids. So university students and school kids and whoever team captains could go online on our website, viper10.com, and design your own kit online. So yeah, we built that business up. There's lots of stories with that business, which I won't go into. We built that business up in 2018. I got a phone call, literally going to bed one Sunday night. Been out on the beers the night before with the boys. Literally going to bed about 9:30 and got a random phone call from from a mobile number. Hello, is that Roger Woodall? Yes, I wasn't going to answer it because I was about to go to bed. Is that Roger Woodall? Yes, yes, it is. It's I've been watching Viper 10 for the last 3 years, and I'd like to buy you. And I was like, Chris, is that you? I think it was my best mate. Is that you, Chris? He went, no, my name's John. I'm not going to give your surname. I don't know where this is going to go, but no. I said, please do me a favour. Please send me an email so I see your footer and all about you, etc. And he did, and then 8 months later, it was sold.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it sounds quite a story. And I think Viper 2, maybe podcast or webinar, whatever this is, 2 in a series of us talking to Roger Woodall. So I'll get you on that next time.
No worries.
Now I appreciate we've gone on, and your time is extremely precious. I just wanted to find out, now that the Bournemouth 7, you've got a bit of time on your hand. The last 3 months have been an incredibly busy time for you. Tell us about the hours. Tell us about diet, nutrition, work plan, and more importantly, I suppose, how that has led you to be able to create a new business in times of traversing change.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when we had to move the date of the festival, and I saw what was happening around the world, I knew there's going to be a global crisis coming, and a financial global crisis like 2008. I think it's going to be worse. It made me think, people use the word pivot. I can't stand the word pivot. It made me think, well, I need to set up a new business, and it'd be 100% online. So literally it was 1st of April or the 23rd of March, but 1st of April, I was looking, searching, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? 16-hour days, YouTube, watching YouTube, just searched everything. What can I do? And we've come up with a business model now. It's been 90 days working solid, and we are currently building the brand. And it is a business where I'm going to teach all my skill set and secrets from the past 20 years for people to set up their own events business. And it's an online course. They can learn from myself and my team around me, and from bringing in different people. They can learn the whole skill set they need to set up their own events. Now, events is the easy entry to market and very, very cheap. You need a mobile phone. Everything's on there. That's all you need. I think people have this misconception of events that you need offices, you need a team of people, you need this, you need this. You don't, you need you and that. Everything's on there. All your social media is on there. Easy entry to market, no overheads, and away you go. And we'll be teaching an online course, a 3-month online course, which will get you an events diploma, and we'll be giving you everything you need to know in that period. Well, you can go and do an events course at university and do it for 3 years and leave there with £27,000 in debt. Well, you can come and do this 3-month course, and we'll teach you everything you need to know. And I'll be on hand on a 1-to-1 online.
You've done the hard yards as well, to be honest.
Absolutely.
You do have a bit of authenticity in that field.
Absolutely. So we've been there and got the t-shirt, 1,500 events and 12 festivals. We feel like we're in a fairly good place to be able to help people start up their own business. It's the budding entrepreneurs. It's the ones who've got an idea, and there's not a better time to set up any business right now, because at the end of this mobile phone, you've got social media that you can press buttons and promote your business to. So but within that, there's not a better time to set up a business, but within that, there's going to be a lot of fear of people wanting to set up a business.
Yeah, and they can obviously learn. They can try and not do stuff that might save them 2 or 3 years, or not pre-book or book whatever it is that you've made, because it's not making mistakes, is it? People like yourself, you don't make mistakes, you learn. You do learn. It's only a mistake if you don't learn from it, I guess.
But this course is going to teach you everything you need to know so you don't make any of those mistakes. That's right. Do you want to give it? Let's talk about it. Is there a name for it? Where can they find it? Yeah, it's not out yet, and there is a name for it, but I don't want to release it. But there's going to be a podcast, there's going to be a book, and there's going to be a course that hopefully will go global. Well, if there's anything at all we can do to help, and that's how the world works, isn't it? I mean, you've been good enough to come on here. So with all this, with the stresses and the strains of business, I mean, you run at 100 miles an hour, and from professional sports to the pub, for everything, life, business, recession, COVID, resilience, etc., etc., etc. Roger Woodall, what is your definition of well-being? Well-being, for me, is the mind, number one. And it's something that I'm passionate about. And it's something that if people could just improve or tweak or change the mindset, the whole world is their oyster. The other well-being, I guess, for me is keeping my body in really good nick. I did a challenge 4 years ago where it was a 100-hour challenge. And that 100-hour was to see if I could get my body into the best shape it possibly could be. And within that challenge, that took me 111 days to do. And I cut out all sugar out of my diet and trained for 100 hours. And I did a before photo and an after photo. And that taught me huge lessons, more lessons in discipline. And again, relentless to achieve the goal that I wanted. But the well-being is, for me, it's the mind. The body, great. And nutrition, great. But without those two, it won't power the mind. So yeah, for me, that's what I would explain it as, for me personally. It's a fantastic answer, and I'm on the same lines. At Wellity, we normalise the conversation around mental health to let everyone realise that there are limited boundaries to becoming the best version of themselves, almost allowing yourself to have permission to be the best version of yourself. On that word you mentioned, I don't like that word. There's a number of words I don't like, but I don't like the word mental health. No, I don't. No, it's a negative, me personally, and I know it's going to flying all around the country, mental health and mental health awareness. I'd love it to be changed, and what I use is mind health.
I'm smiling because in all of our messaging, mental used to be an insult in the playground at school.
Absolutely.
People used to call each other mental. Now we've got the word mental in the very diagnosis that we expect people to put their hands up and say, "Oh yeah, I'm mental."
Yeah.
Whereas it's an insult.
Absolutely. That's why I don't like it. Again, it's in the mind. It's changing these blocks, the blocks from the playground when someone say you're mental or what have you,
Yeah.
or on a rugby pitch says you're mental, has different connotations for how it should be.
And if we're trying to address this in the bigger field, if I say to senior leaders, professional leaders like yourself and other role models, tell me a time when you were mental. In fact, are you still mental now?
Absolutely.
And everyone goes, no, of course not. I'm not going to tell you. I don't know where this is going. That's bad. I'm a bit offended. But if you say, look, you've got to the top of your game, Roger, and you've been through recession, COVID, everything else, there must have been times where you've had sacrifice, you've been up against the wall, you felt like life was giving you a right boot. Tell us how that felt so that others can relate, and tell us how you worked through it and got through so you can inspire others.
It's to embrace it. You can sit there up and curl in a ball if you want to and feel like the whole world is against you, or you can stand up strong and go, bring it on. You know, you've got to embrace it because it's just your mind. It's just that little man on your shoulder saying, you're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You shouldn't really be here because you're talking about a subject you don't really know what you're talking about. It's just this little gremlin. Get rid of the gremlin. Flick him off. Fine, go forward, you know, and enjoy the moment and be present. But it's only your mind can play games with you, nothing else. You know, another good exercise while I'm on this subject, I didn't know what this talk was going to be about, but it's just a variety of, I'll throw it out there. But I'm 330 days clean now of social media, which is Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And for anyone listening, try it.
I love that time when the phone goes dead, to be honest, and you think, oh, I've got to, oh, no, I don't. Or you leave it and you go and take the dog for a walk.
Try coming off social media. The best thing to ever happen to your mind. It declutters everything and it makes you powerful.
I can't wait to get this story out. There's a story of, I just had 25 minutes that changed my life when I was at my lowest, which was my inner critic was so loud and nauseous. It was so boring. Just kept telling me I couldn't do stuff. And I was running around Dorney Lake near Windsor, and there are 5K loops, and I'd done 3 of them. And I love my running. That's the only way I used to be able to shake anxieties off. And then I thought, no, do you know what? Bugger you, I'm going to do another lap. And I'd done 20. And that day I did 30 kilometers, which was just the music was on, the sun was shining, and I was almost in tears. I was euphoric in the state that my mind had told me I couldn't do 15. And from that day forward, I realized that my mind was an imposter. It was wrong. It can be proved wrong. So every time it started nattering at me, I thought, well, you were wrong the last time. I'm just going to do it. Yeah. And that's the power of the mind, I guess.
Absolutely. And that mind is unbelievably powerful when you unblock the past.
We're going to have to talk again on this Roger, because that's an hour in itself. So after everything that you've been through, what would be your one takeaway from all your experience in life to, I suppose, A, a human, and B, an entrepreneur?
Good question. It all comes down to family. It all comes down to love, essentially. Everything else is a byproduct. Everything else is, you can buy this because you've got the money to buy, so you can set this business up because you can do that. What are you actually doing it for? If people can actually work out what are you actually doing it for and find out the why. Most people don't know what they're actually doing it for. And passion is a key one here, but it all comes down to family and the love for your wife, or love for your kids, the love for your family. It's quite a blasé comment that gets used everywhere. But if you actually break it down, if you lost everything, what's most important?
And it takes away the fear of losing material goods because you've got...
Absolutely. Who cares about material goods?
Yeah. thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, I think it's been a very good interview. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm new to podcasting, and it's something now. I'm setting up my own podcast and writing a book and setting up an online events business, which will be very much to do with mindset as well. And I'm looking forward to the future. And I am very much living in the present, and these conversations are really, really important to me, and hopefully they're important to people out there, me sharing my knowledge.
Well, they will be, and Wellity, we're all about mindset, so this will be invaluable, and we'll look to share this far and wide to hopefully to inspire others. So Roger Woodall, thank you ever so much for your time. I look forward to meeting you in person, hopefully dressed in a toga while necking something out of a 2-pint plastic jug.
And a mankini, please.
Yeah, no. Well, whatever. Do you know what? We haven't had Bournemouth 7's have been this year. If you invite me next year, I'll turn up in a mankini.
Fantastic.
All right, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Roger.
It's my pleasure. Take care.